This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. If you want to be part of the community that makes content like this, head over now.
Hello and welcome to today's Good Areas podcast. I am Shayan and I have Saurabh here with me. And we are going to talk about the India-South Africa test match. So Saurabh, what was your takeaway from this day?
Such a manic day, no?
Yeah.
I don't even know how many wickets fell in total. 7 of South Africa, of course, and 9 of India, right? So 16 wicket day.
16 wickets.
It's a 16 wicket day. It's a huge number. 16 wickets in one day, 5 plus per session. And
technically a retired hurt as well. So
technically, actually, yeah, I mean not 16. So 15 wickets plus one retired hurt.
Correct.
So
correct.
It was strange actually when you at the start of the day it seemed like India were in a position to pull far ahead.
Yeah.
In the middle of the day, it seemed as if South Africa has fought back and there is parity. And at the end of the day, it again looks like India are quite far ahead. So everything depends on how the first hour goes, I guess, tomorrow. The first hour. Not the first session, the first hour. Because if South Africa can get like some 50 odd runs in the first hour without losing a wicket, we might still have some sort of a chase on our hands. But otherwise, they are 93 for 7, which is effectively 63 for 7. So it's not really too many runs to play with. If they are bowled out very quickly, which they have been, which they look like they will be because of the way they have been falling in the second innings, India will have a very short chase. At any rate, I think this test will finish tomorrow. That much we can be certain. We are not
probably by the first session, right? It's
probably by the first session.
Yeah.
I mean, see, we don't have Abhishek Sharma opening for India in this format, so it might go till the second session. If South Africa can, if South Africa can bat a bit, I'm saying if they can bat a bit, the maximum second session, but not beyond that.
But I don't think it's going to be as easy a game as you're saying. It's 63 for 7, right?
It's 63 for 7. Imagine they're 75 all out.
Yeah, then it's different. But what if they add another 60 runs? Bumrah is still there.
So that's why I said the first hour. So if the first hour goes, then but who do they have after that? Okay, all of them bat actually.
Yeah, all of them can bat. Harmer can bat.
Keshav
Maharaj can bat. And I think it was Varun in the group who was saying that if they make 120, India are not chasing it. They are going to lose. And India have had this track record, right, of somehow falling short when it comes to run chases in test matches.
I can understand me saying it because I am scarred by 120 chase in 1997 where I was old enough to watch it. But Varun wasn't. How is he scarred by 120 chase?
Wankhede. Last year Wankhede.
Yes. Okay. The other one.
And we have also had our fair share of, all these chases that we've lost, right? As Indian fans. If we talk about the 2018 overseas leg, there were chases that could have been done. Even...
But those were like, on tough pitches, sort of.
Yeah, so this is also a tough pitch.
This is also a tough pitch.
Yeah, and South Africa has good bowling, man. Let's not underestimate them at all.
I mean, just think about it. They're playing without Rabada. So
exactly. Yeah.
It's if he was there, then India might not have scored the 189 that they did. And
possibly
the chase, you might even think that 100. But just to come back to that first session, I thought Simon Harmer's bowling was outstanding. You noticed something about his speed, so I think you should elaborate on that.
Yeah. So I think he was just varying his speeds really well, right? If we look at the wicket deliveries that, so 1 second. Actually, I have it in front of me.
First and second session, actually, it was across.
Yeah, more so the second session, I would say. Because the first session, I think India actually batted pretty well. That KL Rahul and Washington Sundar partnership, they were not scoring very fast, but I thought both of them looked really solid out there, right? And then even Pant looked pretty, like, he was scoring really fast, and ultimately he got out to a bouncer. And like, very bit of a weird dismissal in a way.
But I mean, India still lost 3 wickets and 1 retired hurt. So 4 wickets in a session went. So it was not entirely India's session, I mean, if I'm South Africa, I'm okay with them scoring 100 runs if I get 4 wickets.
Yeah, especially the types of wickets that they got, right?
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
have the wicket ball speeds in front of me. If you look at the Washington ball, that was 83.8, and I think the one that he bowled before that was 85. So this was not massive speed variation as such, but the Jurel ball was 94.7, and the Jadeja ball was 89.2. So like it was pretty obvious that his speed variations were, I think, the main game changer, and he was also, it also seemed like he was getting more turn than the other spinners in this match, at least in the South African innings. Compared to Maharaj, I thought he got more turn, though even Maharaj was not bowling poorly. I thought even he was pretty decent, and he got the wicket of KL Rahul as well, so that was pretty crucial, right? And I thought speaking of Washington Sundar, because I thought he looked pretty solid up, like in that number 3 role, and he was leaving well, he was defending well, he hit that 6 as well. So all in all, I was pretty impressed, I think, by his effort at number 3.
Look, he has the highest score of any middle order bat in this whole test. Bavuma is 29 not out. If he scores another run, he'll go past Washi. But right now, Washi and Bavuma are tied for highest score by any middle order bat in this test. What more can you ask for a number 3, right? Everyone was like, false number 3, false number 3 for Washington Sundar. But he's got the highest score, man. So, but just to go back to the Simon Harmer, I think what was really impressive was not just the variation in speed, but the two things allied to it. One is that there was a variation in speed without any great discernible change in action, and which is the basic thing you need to deceive batters. And the second thing was he was still managing to turn it, like a bit like what Jadeja was doing when South Africa were batting in the second innings. He was getting turn at high speed. Like obviously the pitch is helping and all, but when you do get that sort of turn at high speed, then you are like really dangerous and really unplayable. And I thought Harmer did that really well, like giving the ball a rip but still managing to turn it, and not letting the batsman get any cues about changes in pace, which is why they were caught off guard. If they could have read the changes in pace, they would have handled it, but they couldn't, because and also the ability to go up and down in pace in such a wide sort of range is a rare quality. And I think everything came together nicely for him. And just like a short aside, in a Crick Picks episode a couple of months back, we picked South Africa's greatest 12 for post readmission, and it came to me to pick the spinner. I picked Keshav Maharaj, of course, but I did say that I considered going rogue with Simon Harmer, because he had just gotten back to South Africa after spending all those years in Essex in England. But he was taking wickets by the bucketful in Essex. So I just thought that he has shown the quality to be like a part of an elite attack. But Maharaj obviously has the greater international weightage. But I'm glad to see that Harbour, what he showed was actually solid, in the sense that he's doing it against India in India. So that's a pretty good achievement.
Yeah, definitely. And I think he has more than 1,000 wickets as well in first class cricket, right? So he's a proper giant of the first class game, a county cricket legend and all of that. And I think he's definitely looked very solid. He's looked the part, I think, in this test match. Even his lengths were, I think, pretty good. He was mostly bowling between 4 to 5 meters and 5 to 6 meters. And even his full balls, I don't think India were able to hit particularly well. So all in all, what he really did was he didn't allow, I think, India to get away easily with singles. Because if you see his economy rate, it's even less than 2. And no batter could really, put the pressure back on him in a sense. Even if they tried, there were a couple of boundaries. I think 2-3 boundaries were there. But more or less, he kept them in control. He attacked the stumps as well pretty much throughout the course of his innings. But even he tested the outside edge as well, right? For Washington Sundar, I think when we look at those 2 deliveries, the first ball he beat his outside edge. That was 85 kmph. Then the next ball, I think, was slightly shorter than that, still in the good length zone roughly. And that one took his outside edge. Slightly slower also. So I think it was a pretty good effort from him, all things considered.
There's a comment by Dofi12, which India make every touring spinner look like Shane Warne reincarnated. Shane Warne wasn't that hot in India, actually. And also, I understand where he's coming from, but Simon Harmer actually bowled well today. He bowled with great control, great flight, great revs, great variation, everything. everything was there. So it's not as if he was bowling rubbish and getting wickets. So it's not, just that India make every touring spinner look good.
Yeah. And it also happens, right, that people often remember specific moments, and especially because they lost the New Zealand series now. That thing is always there of, India struggle against spin, and that was like also a very declining team, right, on tough wickets. So I don't think it's always fair to judge the new lot by the standard. And they batted okay. Obviously, it was not a great effort. Nobody got a half century. And so we are not going to come here and say that, it was a great batting effort or anything like that. But I still feel that over a larger sample size, these things do tend to happen. And this was definitely a tough wicket, man. Like, if we just take the example of the very first over of the test match, that the one that Bumrah bowled, I think there was a ball that kept low, and then there was also a ball that had extra bounce right in the very first over of the innings. So and it has probably even deteriorated more since, hasn't it?
I mean,
and
look, you rationalists will put it down to the pitch being bad. I am a Bumrah fan club president. That was just Bumrah's skill. Let's keep it at that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, so India's batting, actually we should talk about a little bit more, I guess. I think a lot of them sort of got in a little bit.
Got starts, yeah.
But didn't carry on. Pretty much like what happened with South Africa's first innings yesterday. Same thing with India's first innings today. A lot of them got in but didn't really carry on and make that big score. But also with the caveat that this is obviously a very tough pitch, and they were facing two high quality spinners, one of them operating at a really good level, and a very decent pace attack. Okay, there's no Rabada, so it was not maybe elite, but it was good enough to work with, on especially on a challenging
decent
surface.
enough.
So so I think that caveat has to be there. And then of course the Gill retired hurt. There have been comments asking about updates on Gill. So what we know is that the last thing that the BCCI said was he has gone for scans and they're keeping a watch on the situation. Now, going by the fact that he did not come out to bat, in India's innings after those 3-4 balls that he batted, we can assume that it is not a trivial injury. So obviously, and if your neck is hurt, you can't bat, right? Because you depend so much on your head moving and all that to basically get into positions. And if you can't do that, then you are not only a walking wicket, but you are a high injury risk, because you can't maybe get out in at the right time, get out of the way of the ball, or get into the correct position to keep the ball away from you. So a neck injury is obviously something. So if it is serious enough that he couldn't bat, means it's not likely to be. And he obviously did not come out. Rishabh Pant captained India's bowling innings. So with that caveat, I still think 189 India will be slightly unhappy with. I think they will feel like they should have got 220 plus. That would have properly put South Africa under pressure. 189 is still just a lead of 30 runs. You get a lead of 60-70 runs in this kind of a test. You can shut the guy. Imagine if South Africa had lost 4 wickets by 40. Imagine they're 40 for 4 and still trailing by 20 runs. They might well have lost 8-9 wickets by now instead of just the 7. So because when they were 40, they were already in the lead, and it just psychologically it makes a difference in when you know that you still have a deficit to overcome. So I think India will feel like, they should have got 30-40 runs more. But I can't also really point a finger at any wicket, any batter's wicket being, out to a terrible shot. Like, I don't know, did you think there was anyone that could have avoided
Jurriel's was a bit of a soft dismissal, right? He tried to flick it, sort of. But Simon Harmer also took a very good catch. I think they showed the reaction time. It was 0.35 seconds. So you have to be really alert to be able to pull that off. And I think Rishabh Pant's dismissal was important in the sense that if he was there, how he can change a game, especially on these wickets. And I think he was looking pretty good for his 27 runs. And after a point, I think none of them really got in for a long time. I think that's what hurt them. If one of the batters, ended up making like a 70 or 80, which was not impossible. I think the wicket was not that impossible to bat on either, that they couldn't do that. But I think South Africa were also constantly in the game. They kept challenging India. And, ultimately, I just feel batting became really hard session 2 onwards. Session 1 still, it felt like, okay, this is completely vibes, by the way. At least from watching it, it felt like session 2 onwards, just things got really hard. And when we saw the final session, it was just... batting was very, very difficult, honestly speaking. And someone says in the comments, there won't be a day 4. Of course, there won't be a day 4. It is going to end tomorrow.
Yeah. I was also a little intrigued by India's batting order. So they sent Jadeja at 6 and Jurel at 7. I would have thought that would have been flipped for 2 reasons. One is Jurel is coming off a decent amount of first-class cricket with really good form, batting form. And secondly, because Harmer was bowling so well, I thought, and Pant was there, so I thought they'll send in a right-hander rather than another left-hander, especially given our India's coaches, liking for right-left combinations. So I was a little surprised that Jadeja came out to bat before Jurel, because I thought that basically tells South Africa to take Keshav Maharaj out of the attack. But you want Simon Harmer to be the guy feeling, under pressure more, because he was the one who was posing the greater threat. So I was a little puzzled. I couldn't figure out a reason for it. I don't know if you have one.
No, I don't really think there's a particular reason. I've seen them promote Jadeja up quite often in Test cricket. I think they seem to have this thing that, okay, Jadeja can be a good number 6, which is not a bad take. I think definitely not a bad take. The level of batter that he has become, especially overseas, I think his batting is even more effective. But even at home in the last series, he also got 100, right? So maybe they just want to be more consistent with that and be like, okay, let's try and maximize whatever batting we can out of him. Although even I think promoting Jurel to 6 would have made more logical sense, considering, the sort of form that he has been in. And purely on ability, even I would say Jurel is the better batter, but maybe it's a thing of experience. Maybe they're like, okay, it's a bit of a tricky situation. Let's send in Jadeja and let's see and if he can navigate through it. And then after a point, Jurel can come and cash in. Maybe that was the approach. I'm just speculating here. So I think along these lines, there is another question. Obviously, the pitch is a very big part of all of this. And Rahul has a question that, do you think this is a poorly prepared wicket, or was it done intentionally based on the Indian team's instructions? What's your take on this?
Look, every single team has some amount of say over how their home pitches are going to be. Pitch making is still part science, part art. It's not an exact science. So you can try and prepare a pitch that is more dry. So this pitch wasn't watered on the day before the test. So that's why it has become drier, and it has, you see those puffs of dust coming up earlier, because it wasn't watered on the day before the test. So at least that's what I've heard. I mean, hopefully I'm not wrong. But I don't think it was. So now, if it is not watered, and it's obviously you want a spinny kind of pitch for that, which makes sense also given India's extreme strength in spin bowling. They've gone in with 4 spinners in this in this test, and South Africa have good quality spinners, but only 2. And then you have a Markram who is more half
part-time.
Part-time, I mean, slightly more than part-time, I would say. So maybe he has better skills than
test,
purely
I think
part-time.
He's part-time. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. So it makes sense to prepare a pitch like that. But now you can go the other way also now in your effort to prepare. Now that is what happened to India in 2017 in the Pune test. For those who remember, where Steve Smith scored a century, that BGT series. Steve O'Keefe got 12 wickets. Now, India lost the toss in that test also, and they were asked to, bowl first.
Bat last.
Australia batted first. And India had to bat last on a ragging turner. Now, they wanted to prepare a turner. This I know for a fact that, people in the team management then have confirmed it, that they wanted a turner, that they wanted that. But it became too extreme. And now that is not something you can always control. I think, so that's what I think this is. So the answer to this question is a sort of a 50-50 thing. I'm sure they wanted a turner, but I don't know if they wanted one where 26 wickets have fallen in 2 days.
Yeah. But weren't there also
26
rumors
or
that
25 wickets?
Aiden...
Yeah.
Yeah. 26 and I think 27 plus... No, I think it's 27 wickets and including Gill's retired
including
out.
a retired out.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. No. So I was just thinking that weren't there rumors that... I don't know rumors or whatever, but there were talks that Eden Gardens might support pace and bounce for this test match. I think there was some news like that.
There were a lot of reports swirling before the test about that. But clearly, those reports were either misinformed or just a very collective wrong reading of the conditions, because that's not how it has played.
Yeah, that's what. But I think the wickets by pace and spin that they showed,
Yeah.
I found that pretty interesting. There was like 7 wickets by pacers, 3 by spinners, then 4 and 6. I think it was in the second innings, and then this innings completely has been spin dominated. Although I think it's not still, even in the first innings, it was not the sort of pitch where it was not like a extreme pace and bounce sort of Australia or England type of wicket. It was just, I think, a classic subcontinent wicket, which obviously brings someone like Bumrah into play. He can adapt
Classic
anywhere, but specifically...
Yeah, classic subcontinent wicket and classic genius bowler. That,
Yeah,
like,
that
we have
that
to add
given.
that every time we mention Bumrah.
Yeah. I'll take another chat. This is what I was talking to you about at the start of this. Outside of Ranchi and Gaba, India have failed to chase anything higher than 121. This is the worry, right? And Bavuma was looking very solid today, mind you. I thought his batting was superb. I think his defensive technique, he just looked the most complete solid batter out there from the South African team. Although they were able to beat him as well at times, and he was making some mistakes. But on such a wicket, you need luck. I think it was Ravi Shastri who was saying this, and it's completely true. You just cannot survive on such a pitch without, having that extra element of luck and something helping you, because any ball can have your name written on it. So yeah, I think if they somehow manage to stretch it to 120, which is not impossible given their batting depth, and with Bavuma still there at the crease, it could be an interesting chase. I also agree with that. I don't think 120 will mean India will lose, but I think it might be a 70-30 sort of a situation, where 30% chance there might be that India still end up losing it.
No, so
and you also have to see if Gill bats or not, right?
I don't think he will. But my counter question to that is, okay, they have failed to chase anything higher than 121, but how many chases below 200 have they lost? Like, it could be that they're chasing 350 and they have failed to chase it. Yeah, that's okay, that happens. Or 250 also maybe. But have there been chases less than 200 in recent years, he's saying. So, let's say that... Gaba BGT, that 2020-21 BGT, that time onwards, has it been that India has failed to chase 200?
I mean, Ranchi was, I think, 192, so they managed to chase that. That was also a bit of an interesting game. They won by 5 wickets. And Wankhede was 147, so they couldn't chase 150. They failed in a chase that was less than 150. Apart from that, MCG was higher. MCG was like 300 or something. But I still feel that was also a game they shouldn't have lost. They had to draw that game at least. It was really, I think, a poor effort from the Indian batting. Apart from, of course, Jaiswal looked pretty solid, and Pant was also pretty solid for the time he was there, and then he decided to attack Travis Head. I think, considering the momentum of the game, I think maybe they could have just knocked it around at that point. They were not going to win it at that point. So I actually think the first innings dismissal, which had the stupid, the second innings probably deserved it more given the context of the game. And that Pant was the set batter, right? It's not like he was looking uncomfortable or anything at that point. So, and DOF brings up another point that they couldn't chase 147 after Rishabh Pant making 65, which is the craziest thing, yeah.
Oh, that was in Sydney. Okay, but that was like an extremely spicy pitch, right?
No. This is 147 in the Wankhede test last year.
Oh,
Wankhede made 65 and nobody could. Yeah, I'm talking about the chase. Yeah.
Sydney, I think India was defending, not chasing in the fourth innings. Australia chased and won, right? BGT.
That one Australia chased. That one Australia chased.
Yeah.
There's another comment. There's a super chat actually by V9D212. Thank you so much. And do you think Kohli's idea of 5 test centers can be a genius idea and all of that? What are your thoughts on this? I see the logic.
Yeah, I see the logic, but there are some small centers. For instance, a test matches in Indore are also always sold out, or they're not. If not sold out, they have a lot of crowd gathering. I think keeping it to only 5 in a country as huge as India will deprive some of these centers who are enthusiastic about Test cricket from watching it live. From an I was there moment. So maybe you should sift more carefully. Now, you don't give it to a center just because they've been around for a long time. So, like for example, and no hate to this ground where I have had personally when I've gone to report, they have been very hospitable and all. But in Mohali, you don't get test match crowds.
Correct.
You don't get. So, but Mohali is a traditional center. Like obviously, it's not like these 5 that have been mentioned here, but it is.
Yeah.
But now that is where you have to see. But just because it is a traditional center doesn't mean it should get test cricket. Because if crowds don't turn up, Nagpur crowds don't turn up. Again, Nagpur, the guys at the Vidarbha Cricket Association are lovely people. I mean, they have been lovely to me, and they have been so. But if for a test match a crowd doesn't turn up, make it go to centers where crowds will turn up. That basic point I agree with. But maybe it can be more than these 5. And Delhi, I'm not even sure of, man. Like, I don't know. Delhi, first you have to make the air breathable, then you can play there.
Yeah, at this point, completely agree with you on that. And I think Varun also brings up a point. Again, I've outed him, but everybody who is in the YouTube comments knows it's him anyways. So it's less about major centers and more about the stadium being accessible and well located. Yeah, I think that's also a very valid point.
That's true. No, so also, that holds for Indore also. It's very centrally located, the stadium there. There are other small cities where it is like, okay, Vizag is very far. So I think that's why people, Nagpur, it's very far. So that's why
it's very far.
Pune is very far. Pune is almost, it's between Pune and Mumbai. And again, Pune, like most of these centers, when you go, like I've gone to cover matches in a lot of these places. Yeah. They're very nice like that, the local people there and all. But yeah, if it's about crowd and all, then yeah, you have to see where it's accessible. So the advantage that the metros have is that the stadiums were built much earlier in the center of the city, so it's easily accessible to a lot of people.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I think the Lucknow one is, I think it's in a good location somewhat. At least it's 2 kilometers from my place. I can see it from my balcony, so I can't complain too much. It's basically walking distance from here. But I think it's actually fair because there is also a mall nearby, and like I'm living in a place where there are lots of apartments, right? So I think from that perspective, it's fairly accessible. And that the big road, the Shaheed Path that's there in Lucknow, it's also like, if you go on that road, you will find it. So it's not really that difficult to get to
Lucknow.
Lucknow although Lucknow hasn't got a test match for India, I think, yet.
Lucknow has had a West Indies Afghanistan test match, which I was there
which
for.
You have covered, right?
So that time I think it seemed less well connected, but that was 6 years ago. So I think it must be better connected now. More residents and all would have come up around it. So yeah, and of course you can't, a visiting team going to Lucknow also means they get to sample the food there. So we are okay with Lucknow getting a test match.
Yeah, and we've gone on a completely different tangent here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should talk a bit about the South African batting innings, right? We haven't touched upon that as much. So what were your thoughts on them bringing on Kuldeep Yadav that early? And he actually took a wicket and then they took him off the attack. That was, I think, pretty interesting. They were praising it on comms actually. And then they got Jadeja from the end where bowling was more, challenging to face.
That was actually the interesting bit, that is the first we have seen of Rishabh Pant's captaincy as such in Test cricket.
Yeah.
So so it was fascinating actually. Now I still don't know what he saw in the pitch or what he read in the batters that made him think this is the time for a Jadeja Akshar combo and not Kuldeep even though he has got a wicket. But clearly whatever he read was spot on. And also I can't really fault him for it. He kept Jadeja on from the end. So there was one end from which a lot of wickets were falling. The other,
I think clubhouse end, if I'm not wrong, if I'm remembering this right.
Pavilion end, I think. But I actually these names are sort of interchangeable. Anyway, there was one end. He kept Jadeja on from that end to the extent that even when he brought Bumrah back, he got Bumrah at the other end. Not the end where Bumrah had got all his first innings wickets from. So but Rishabh Pant, to give him credit, he read it perfectly. He read that Jadeja is going to be the biggest threat here. So he kept Jadeja on for an extended spell on the end which was causing more threat. And then later, after Jadeja's spell was over, he brought Akshar on from that end. So he clearly felt like the fastish, flatter spin would work
Finger
better
spinners,
than the finger spin would work better than Kuldeep's wrist spin, which is slower and more loop and everything. Why he did that is I'm not entirely sure, but we know that he did read it correctly because of the way it panned out.
Yeah, ultimately it's result-based analysis, right? Like
No, not just result, but like Jadeja was getting stuff to happen also.
No, I'm not saying it was a bad move. Of course, it was a good move which made logical sense. I'm saying we are only saying it now because we've seen it pan out in front of us, right?
No, I'm saying the process and the result both worked. Process-wise, let's say Jadeja didn't get those 4 wickets, but you would still think that, what a spell he has bowled, he could have got.
True.
That
fair
way,
enough.
Yeah.
I think completely agree with you.
And Bavuma you already spoke about, but I think he was very impressive. Of course, you need a little bit of luck to survive, but I think they had pointed out on comms, he was playing with a bit of an angled bat in the first innings, which led to his dismissal. He was much straighter this time. And obviously he showed very good judgment apart from all the luck. So that is what has kept him going. And he is obviously the key wicket for India tomorrow, unless they manage to knock off the other side quickly and leave him not
that
out.
can also happen. And even 79, he had a 79% control percentage, which on this wicket I think is, and especially session 3, I would take that any day. Like that's pretty solid actually. If you're in control only, if you're out of control only 2 out of 10 balls, you'd take that any day on this surface.
Yeah.
And
on this
even
surface,
Akshar I thought was
this
bowling
attack,
pretty well. Even Akshar was bowling pretty well. I thought they were both not
I thought
allowing
Akshar
them.
had a few phases where he could have been tighter, but overall, I mean that this is slightly first world problems. Overall, of course, he bowled well.
Yeah, I mean if you're comparing him to Jadeja, I think probably, but
yes,
more or less it was Jadeja who was the dominant, who was the dominant player, and now I think he has also completed 4,000 test runs and 300 test wickets, which in itself is another marker of greatness. And
I think he's in a club of 4-5 people, right? Like the
I think Ian Botham, Kapil Dev,
Vettori, and I don't know. Like I don't think there's too many people in that club. 4,000 runs and 300 wickets.
I think it was 5 people total.
Yeah, I'm forgetting the 5th. But
but I think for me I think he's the greatest spin bowling all rounder of all time in Test cricket. I think that is not unfair. That is not an unfair statement. I think I discussed this with Jared for the footmarks that I did. He has among spinners. Do you think there is anyone who has been more impactful?
No,
all time.
That's true. Actually, spin bowling all rounder, you can't look past Jadeja. Yeah. I mean, I think his closest competitor might actually be Ashwin, right? Or
Shakib.
Richie.
Not Ashwin.
Richie Beno,
Don't
Shakib.
call Ashwin an all-rounder or people will be annoyed.
You picked him in our all-rounder
That's
team.
what I'm saying.
I
picked him. That is what I'm saying. I picked him and Behram was so mad about it that how have you picked Ashwin and you're calling him an all-rounder?
Should we include Jayasuriya in this or we are not.
There's Vinu Mankad as well. Let's not forget that.
Vinu Mankad, Richie Beno,
Richie
Shakib.
Beno, of course. Shakib.
Vettori, I guess we can include too.
Vettori too, of course. He'll also be in that.
He should be that.
I mean, he was a spinner in New Zealand, so there's no doubt about that. And apart from him, there's
of course there's Aubrey Faulkner.
Aubrey Faulkner, Wilfred Rhodes, the old guys. Yeah. They're also there.
So we can't really compare them to the modern guys in any meaningful fashion. So that way, I think
Gary Sobers, but he was mix of pace and spin. Someone brought up.
No, Gary Sobers, you can't call him a spin bowling all rounder.
That's what.
Because I think pace was his stronger suit while bowling, and pace was his stronger suit while bowling. So you can't call him a spin bowling all rounder.
Yeah, I think Rahul actually sums it up well.
Super chat.
Yeah, but before that, we'll just take the Rahul one. He is saying that Ashwin is an all-rounder, but only in Asia. I completely agree with that. I think that is a very fair assessment.
No question in Asia, Ashwin is a proper...
In Asia, he's a very good all-rounder, great all-rounder. Yeah. But I think outside Asia, he's like a decent number 8 batter who is also a good matchup bowler, who's specifically good against left-handed batters. But,
not just left-handed. He had Steve Smith's number in the BGT.
No, of course. I'm saying if you look at his overall career numbers, He was a lot more dominant against the left-handers than right-handers. I think I remember doing this when he had taken 500 wickets. So what we figured out was in Asia, he's good against every type of batter. Outside Asia, he's still very good against the left-handers. And you remember those 2 Cook dismissals, right, from 2018? I think that is the hallmark, that is the highlight of his bowling to left-handers. I think even Warner, he's gotten out at times in Australia. And of course, Steve Smith and Marnus, we all know how much he planned for them. And he got better with age there. So I think there's another super chat which you wanted to take, right?
Yeah, we can take that super chat and, as the closing.
Yeah, 1 second.
It's a bit out of context, but it's India versus South Africa series. So who do you think is a greater all-format batter, including IPL, between Kohli and ABD? I guess no one else will be in the conversation. Including IPL, AB de Villiers for me.
Including AB, sorry.
Even you are going AB, huh? I thought you might
with
go
IPL,
Virat.
With IPL included, easily it's AB. Kohli is not massively behind or anything, but he's second to him if we do overall. But purely if we go for international cricket, I think I would still go for Kohli because he had a longer career as well. He's still playing one-day cricket and Test cricket. He has a few more runs, but they're more or less similar level in Test cricket.
How do you balance the longer career versus the tail off at the end?
Yeah, that is the interesting bit. But he retires early, right?
I know. So Kohli gets a bonus for carrying on as long as he did, but he gets a negative for the tail off also.
Yeah, in Test cricket he gets that negative, right? In ODIs at least he's still making he's made a lot of runs after the age of 33, 34.
In Test cricket, Test cricket is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So in Test and ODIs both.
Tail off, I might still pick AB.
No, I think I get that. See, the thing is, if we do just internationals, I think T20Is, Kohli has had the better career, purely going by T20 internationals and T20 World Cups. I think nobody's going to have an issue with that mostly. And Test cricket, they're also similar level of batters. ODI cricket, also they're similar level of batters. So I think for that reason, I would just give it to Kohli in international cricket. But if somebody has to pick AB, I think that's also a fair take. Considering, there's...
Yeah, that somebody is me. I'm picking AB.
Yeah. But what would be your rationale for it? Like, if we do just internationals?
Just that the Test tail off that Kohli had. No? Now, if I'm doing just internationals, we are obviously giving some sort of weightage, right? So Test is 50. ODIs is 30. T20 T20I is 20 or whatever. 55,
exactly
30, 15.
This is how I think of it. 50, 30, 20. Because half for red ball, half for white ball. Roughly.
Yeah. So because of the tail off he has in Test cricket, so I feel that sort of diminishes his overall ranking in this. See, we are comparing two absolute all-time Hall of Famer kind of guys. So between themselves only, we can say that, he has a tail off which diminishes him. Compared to most of the rest of the cricketing world, Kohli is still ahead. But it's just between AB and Kohli, that's why I would pick AB.
Yeah, so I think there's another comment on this actually. He's better in T20s, slightly better in ODIs and about equal in Tests.
Who's better in T20s?
I would assume AB obviously.
Yeah, because in T20s, it's clearly, he's better.
T20s, obviously, AB is better. I think
slightly
ODIs,
better in ODIs.
Yeah, I would actually pick Kohli in ODIs, I think. Because Varun and I have been talking about this, right?
Yeah.
It's just the volume of runs and the longevity now at this point in ODI cricket that you have to pick. For me, I think I would pick Kohli, but AB is also
that's fair
enough take. And in Test cricket, I think, they're about equals. For me, I think AB was ranked just above Kohli in art of batting. So as of now, I think I would stick to that. As of now, I mean, now nothing can happen because Kohli has also retired. So I think he's just slightly ahead.
No, and you have to remember, art of batting, did it take into account the latest BGT?
So the thing was, I think basically after the BGT, I was like, should we put him down a few spots? And Jared was like, no, Jared didn't want to change it. Because I think Jared put up a lot of weightage on his peak. And the decline was there. It was there to see even before the BGT, right? So I think he was not that worried about the overall average, just the fact that Kohli's peak. I think Kohli at his peak was definitely a better Test batter than de Villiers. But de Villiers never had a decline in Test cricket the way Kohli did. So I think that's also a fair way of looking at it.
Yeah, but AB at his peak was also quite something. Huh?
No, of course he was. But he was batting at 5 behind Amla, Callis, Graeme Smith, which is a bit different than being the main man of the team, I think, at your peak. So for that reason,
I can give Kohli the peak.
Peak, I think Kohli is definitely better.
Yeah,
Overall,
but I
I
would
can
still
get
rank
that.
them equal in tests. Or actually, I would rank AB slightly ahead, just like art of batting.
Yeah. Same. Agreed. ODI is Kohli slightly ahead, and T20s, of course,
And-
Kohli is better.
Yeah.
After these two, if we have to talk about a great all-format batter, it has to be David Warner, right? Like 3-format batter. The next one is easily him. There's no doubt about that for me.
If Yashasvi Jaiswal gets chances in ODIs and T20s, then maybe he'll join that list.
No,
Until
he
then,
can.
yeah,
He can.
David
I
Warner.
have said this, I think, during the India-England series that, I think Jaiswal is going to be an all-time great in Test match cricket. He is going to break in that top 50 of our art of batting that we've done. He is just an incredible player. The only flaw right now that we see in his game is he tends to get out a bit when he's cutting the ball, which is okay. That can sometimes your bread and butter shot can also bring about your downfall,
Yeah.
as we have seen with another famous player. So I think that's fair. Cool. I think this was a great
Yeah.
chat then.
Okay, I think, so we'll...
One last comment on this.
Oh,
AB
there is a
corporate
last
lunch
comment.
debate.
In Bangalore, AB was Rohit versus Kohli. Yeah, we are not getting into Rohit versus Kohli and Kohli versus Dhoni, man. We got a super chat about Kohli versus AB. Otherwise, we wouldn't have got into that.
No, true. But we also keep talking about this sort of nonsense in our chats. So
Yeah.
It's fun. It's part of
fun,
following
fun.
sport, man. I don't think it's not that deep or anything to be that rattled about, but
It's good as long as it's fun. When it ignites
as
all
long-
these flan wars, then it's not so fun.
yeah, I agree. I will just take one last comment which is related to this test match and then close it.
Yeah.
India need a different chasing mindset. They need to go all out attacking. I also think agree with this, because if you keep blocking too much, then even those 120 runs, if say they make that many, that could be a bit tricky. You lose a couple of wickets and then panic starts to come. I think you just need to go with a positive mindset. I know it sounds easy. It's easier said than done, because South Africa will not give away freebies.
No, so
And
what
Simon
I would
Harmer
say
will
is...
open, right?
Yeah, I would
with
say
the
it's
ball.
not all out attacking, but they need to go with a positive mindset. What you said, you need to have a positive mindset. That doesn't mean you treat it like a T20, but you are proactive, sort of, at looking for scoring opportunities. Your default is not defense. You are proactive. That is the mind that I agree with. Yeah, but all out attack could be a little reckless. So that I don't think I
Rishabh Pant should be able to do it. Like he can play however he wants. He is the man you trust in a run chase in test matches, because he has gotten the job done and he's brought us close also many times.
Actually, one last comment I will take. Somebody has said IPL retention. Kaushal has said IPL retention announced. So guys, we will be back with another live in very shortly. So with the IPL retention. So yeah, you can stick around. For that.
Someone is saying Russell is released, Rahul. I also got a chat.
You come for the chat, and we'll discuss all of this in the IPL chat.
You can see how I'm already beaming at the news of Russell released. I talked about this in the IPL winners one, right? That he's the man who has given me the most trauma as a T20 player. I think as an RCB fan who has seen him, I think what Russell has done is... I will talk about it some other time. We'll talk about it in the next show.
We'll talk about it in the next.
Okay, then.
So
this was us talking about. This was Shayan and Saurabh talking about the India South Africa Day 2 Test match at the Eden Gardens, and all our work as part of this Good Areas team, whether it be written content, YouTube, and all the podcasts that we do. It's powered by our supporters on Patreon, and you can go to the goodareas.co website and bookmark it, and there you will actually find a tab for the Patreon supporters as well. So if you want to be a part of that, you can go there and join that. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. If you want to be part of the community that makes content like this, head over now.